All right, I'm here with Josh from Fiddler. Big thing that I'm seeing in implementing LLMs is around keeping track of their outputs and what they're doing out in production. I think hallucinations is just going to be part of the game. You have to expect some level of hallucinations with LLMs. The best case scenario is that you have to monitor them, and whenever you have a bad output from an LLM, you want to be alerted on that and you want to be able to fix it. So I know Fiddler is an option for that. So tell us more about this observability piece that you need if you're deploying LLMs in production.
Yeah, so I think everybody wants to trust LLMs. Everybody's a little uneasy about deploying them. Obviously, applications differ in their, how mission critical they are. But nobody wants their organizations to be embarrassed. Nobody, there was this, Canada Air recently issued this $20 ticket to, or I don't remember what the dollar value was, but they were forced legally to issue a ticket for the price that their, LLM said they could sell it for.
Right.
So there's just a huge amount of risk of reputational harm, and not to mention like human safety and stuff like that. So I think where Fiddler sort of jumps in terms of observability is that we operate as a sidecar where model exhausts, that could be inputs and outputs coming from your production model platform, get fed into our platform, and we provide a whole bunch of dashboards and alerting on inputs and outputs, but also any sort of metadata fields, human feedback. We can run additional calculations on top of those in some scenarios. We can provide fast hallucination detection. We're hoping really soon to launch a kind of a real-time firewall capability based on fast models that can veto bad responses from your model, or things like prompt injection attacks from users. And we can tell you things about whether performance is shifting over time, whether something's changing in the world that might be impacting the performance of your model, and allow your model developers to drill down into what might be causing that, and allow them to communicate to other stakeholders in their organization business level metrics about how the model is doing, how much money it's making, how much it costs to run.
Gotcha.
By using custom dashboards, custom charts, custom metrics.
Gotcha. So if you detect a hallucination in your chatbot, for example, that's going to go to someone that's monitoring the output. I like the model exhaust framework. I like that. But then also there's model drift, right? Because things change over time. Your model may have been fine-tuned on documents that are somewhat outdated. Maybe there's something in the news that's happening that your chatbot users are asking about. So you also want to get alerts about that as well.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I think one thing that we're hearing from our customers and our prospects who are using chatbots in production is, a lot of these are these, RAG applications, retrieval augmented generation, where a chatbot's being asked to summarize some information that's been selected from a larger database. The model can't answer questions where that information doesn't reside in the database. So if your users start asking something that's related to a world event, like, say you're a banking customer and you want to ask about how the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank is affecting your savings with some other organization, if you're not really on your toes as a LLM operator, you might have a bunch of users who are asking your model questions that it is not prepared to answer. And those kinds of topic shifts in the underlying semantics of the request coming from your user is something that we can detect and capture, even in the absence of human feedback coming from thumbs up, thumbs down.
Interesting. It's almost like an anomaly detection for the prompts that are going into the chatbots.
Yeah. Proud to say that we were just recently issued a patent actually on the algorithm that we use to detect shifts in unstructured data. We use the same algorithm for language as computer vision, and it works fabulously as far as I can tell in both cases. It's really good.
Interesting. I would say that this is a key part of the stack that you need if you're deploying LLMs in production. I mean, is that fair?
That's the argument we try to make. Yeah, I think
if you're not using a tool like Fiddler, what are you doing?
You're kind of flying blind, right? You don't. It's like flying an airplane without instrumentation.
Yeah.
This lets and there's always it's expensive to run these things, and we've gone through a year of people getting to work in their laboratories and having budget to explore new ideas, but ultimately, if you're a model owner, you're going to need to justify in your organization that your model is bringing business value and operating well and continues to operate well, and that you have good governance principles in place for operating this thing. You need to justify the existence of this project. And having this observability layer makes it easier for you to communicate to other stakeholders in your org, what it's doing, why it's money well spent and that you're using it responsibly.
Yeah, I like to say that AI assistants and co-pilots are going pro now. For the last year and a half, we've had some nice prototypes in-house so you can show to people. But now as these things are going to production, it's a different game. And I think you need to take observability very seriously. Again, you're going to have some hallucinations, but you want to mitigate their bad effects by spotting them early and getting them fast. Okay, Josh, awesome. Thanks so much for talking to us about that. Where can people find you? Where can people find out more about Fiddler?
Yeah, we're Fiddler.ai. We have lots of blogs, and lots of information on the website.
Cool. All right, thanks, Josh.